interesting topic that we're going to talk about today. Two things that we're going to talk about, right? Joe Rogan goes at Trump, which is surprising and not really surprising. Look, a lot of people were very excited when Joe Rogan finally got to interview Donald Trump, right? Many people were very much excited of that. They were excited at the fact that, hey, you know what? Joe has finally seen the light. He's finally come into the side of MAGA. And as a result, now he's going to influence a worldwide, well, not a worldwide, but more like a domestic setting of the fact that, hey, you know what? Uh, Joe Rogan is going to bring a lot of people into the right wing side of things. Now, look, Joe Rogan will tell you straight up that he was he's been a long time liberal. He'll tell you that. He'll tell you that a lot of his ideas are at best liberal, right? Like he believes in pro-choice. He believes in, I don't know, I mean, some level of feminism or this and that. I don't know what Joe Rogan believes, honestly, right? Joe Rogan is the ultimate centrist. He's the ultimate down the middle type of guy. And then some will even say that, you know what, Joe Rogan's the type of guy to not really take a side, right? Sort of backpedal a lot of his views and this and that. These are the criticisms that many people have of Joe Rogan. But the other side of that argument right now, the other side of the well, I'm sorry, the other side of the story rather that we're going to talk about is the double champion history in the UFC. Okay, the double championship history in the UFC. Obviously, Connor has done it. Daniel Cormier has also done it. The likes of BJ Penn have done it. This one is a little bit different. This is not more of like a Conor McGregor type of situation where he, gets the double championship belt, right? Although nobody really did until Conor McGregor did. They won it separately. For example, BJ Penn won the 155 belt, then goes on to win the 170 belt, but does that on a separate occasion. Same thing with Randy Couture. He wins the 205 belt, then wins the heavyweight belt, but does it on a different occasion. Daniel Cormier was really the only one to have matched what Conor McGregor has done, right? In terms of winning it at the same time. Marty Miller, good morning to you, my man. Good morning to you. Shout outs to you and shout outs to everybody in Ohio. Prince Vandro says, "Do you think Islam Makhachev could beat Conor McGregor?" I mean, dude, is that even a question? Shoot, let me tell you. I know I'm a hardcore MMA guy. A lot of the people that are on this page that are on the chats are also hardcore MMA people. Man, all my hardcore MMA people, where are you at? Let my man know what you guys think of this answer. Now, look, it's a fair question if Conor McGregor was still in his prime, right? It's a very fair question, but I don't know if that question really makes sense in the modern era because Islam Makhachev is on a hot streak. Islam Makhachev is fighting for a 170 belt, something Conor McGregor couldn't do. Whenever Conor McGregor fought 170 guys, they were either unreal 170 guys with the likes of Nate Diaz and the likes of Donald Cerrone, although Donald Cerrone has had some pretty good wins at 170, but he's not a contender at 170, right? I don't think Conor McGregor would have fought Tyron Woodley at the time, and I know a lot of people are citing that, man, Conor McGregor could have probably beaten Tyron Woodley at the time. Well, I don't know about that. Because once the wrestling comes into play, and once Conor McGregor shoots in, and well, I mean, he gets shot in by Tyron Woodley, double leg, single leg, he's not going to be able to get up after that. So I don't know if that's a highly accurate statement to make, in all honesty. But yeah, uh, Islam Makhachev finishes Conor McGregor within the first round, like not even a question. He finishes him in the first round. I truly believe that. Like I don't think there's a world where Conor McGregor beats Islam Makhachev in any kind of way, in any kind of capacity. It's damn near impossible for him to do it at this point of his career right now. Well, all right. So the other aspect that we're talking about today is Joe Rogan slamming Donald Trump. I believe Jesse on Fire has a video on that particular matter. It would be an epic fight, though. Well, in what way do you think that? Islam Makhachev would have any struggles against uh, Conor McGregor, or would Conor McGregor give him any problems whatsoever? Because that's the only way that I just see that fight as completely dominant. Soup Zoop says, "Hi, how are you, man? Very interesting name that you got there. Very interesting name, Soup Soups. Very interesting. All right, so Prince Vendro says both prime fighters just giving it all they got at their prime. Okay. Well, now if you're talking 2016 Conor McGregor and 2025 uh, Islam Makhachev, now we're talking, right? But I don't know. You know what I don't like? I'm going to tell you the kind of conversations I don't like, right? When they say, well, how would this guy do in his prime? How would prime John Jones, a 205 John Jones at that, do against Tom Aspinall? I don't like this conversation because it's hypothetical, and not only hypothetical, but also science fiction at its best. Let me tell you why it's science fiction, because let me tell you what you're dealing with here, right? What you're dealing with on this particular topic is, how do I say this? Fiction. You need a time machine to travel one prime fighter to the other time frame of when that other fighter is living, and that's just science fiction. It's not going to happen, right? Time traveling is not a real thing in the way that we understand it to be with Michael J. Fox and Back to the Future. It's not a real thing. And even if it was a real thing, remember what Doc Brown said in the Back to the Future movie. He said, listen, Marty, when you're out here in the future, don't talk to anyone, don't look at anyone. Great Scott, you're going to, alter the history of all time, something to that extent, right? Omar Tamim, shout out to you. Yuri, shout out to you. He asked me a very important question here. What are your thoughts on Israel and Palestine? All right, I will answer this question right here with Yuri, and I'm going to pin your comments, by the way, so that everybody can engage upon this particular topic as well. So, my thoughts on Israel versus Palestine. Okay, so understand that there are many people out there that say, well, these are the people of Israel, and this is their homeland because the Bible said so. Look, did you know that a lot of people who migrate from Eastern Europe, okay, the so called Jews that migrate from Eastern Europe all the way to Palestine, okay, they get skin rashes, okay, and olive, what do you call it, allergies as they go down there. So, in other words, it's really the definitive proof, DNA wise, that they are not the inhibitors of that land. Okay, that's the reality of that situation. Now, do they occupy that land in terms of having their own residency and this and that? Yes. But if you look back at the history of how all of that started, it's brutal. They kick people out of their homes and this and that. And it's just like, wow, man. Respectfully, we don't want a whole monologue just which side you're on. Well, I think it's quite obvious, right? Look, I don't want to say it, but you kind of know, right? And the reason why I don't want to say it is because, look, it causes a lot of controversy. I respect everybody that has one side of it over the other, but I think you can kind of guess and understand where I'm coming from with that. Prince Vandro says the vast majority of them come from Poland. Free Palestine. All right. Well, to really show you where I stand on that, I'm going to repin that comment right there. So there you go. Right. So if you want to know what side I'm on without me saying it, it's right there. Because look, when you talk about these things, there is no winning. The only winning side that you get out of this is when you actually talk to people who are on your side, whatever that may be. That's really the only positive interaction you get out of it. You talk to somebody who's Israeli or is pro Jewish or is pro Zionist. I mean, you know what? It's basically you stand with humanity. Prince Evangel says, yeah, I think that's the best way to put it, right? Because you're not winning any of these arguments. And Prince Evangel says the same. He goes at it the same as well. All right, so 10-minute mark into this. Let's go and hear what Jesse on Fire has to say about why Joe Rogan slams Donald Trump. So let's hear what this guy has to say.
All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back. So Joe Rogan torched Donald Trump on his immigration policy in this clip right here, and I watched it, and I'm very curious to hear what you guys think about this. Okay, because at the end of the day, I don't think Rogan is wrong at all in what he said here, and I don't want to step on it because we're going to get into that in detail in the last segment of the video. But we have a lot more important things to talk about, to be perfectly honest. It's like this is like, it's more important than people having their families ripped apart due to the fascist immigration.
And I have 10K on Ilya to pour a knockout or submission to win. Oh my goodness, man. Yuri, that is insane, bro. 10K? Look, when you're saying 10K, are you talking about 10,000 American dollars? Bro, that's crazy, man. That is crazy. But you know what, man? Yo, I don't know, man. This is why, I don't like gambling because euros. Okay, let's take a look at what 10K euros are. Okay, but shout out to you, Yuri. What part of the world you're from, my man? 10K euros in dollars. Okay, so $11,000. Okay, so $11,600. This is what you're betting in my currency right now. So yeah, let me know what part. Ireland. Okay, Ireland, but I'm living in Paris. Oh man, okay, so shout outs to Yuri over here. We got the Irish up in here in the chats right now. Soup, can you say the N word? You know what? That's a good question. Okay. Soup asks, can you say the N word? Are you saying, can I say it for you? Or are you asking me if I'm allowed to say it based on maybe my relationships with, certain people or this and that and the other, right? If that's the case, yeah, let me know. Where are you from? I'm from Sacramento, California. Represent, baby. You know what I mean? So shout outs to you and Ireland, man. Ireland is, man, a lot of people don't realize, man, Ireland's a pretty gangster place too. They got gangs, mafia, and all types of stuff like we got out here in the West Coast. I'm half Arabic and half Islander to put it like that, right? So yeah. But yeah, man, shout out to Yuri, man. Lives in Paris, an Irishman that lives in Paris, and he's down for the Palestinian cause. That's what's up, man. Shout outs to Yuri on that one, my man. Welcome to the best community in MMA. I would say we're the most positive community in MMA. Wouldn't you say? Chat, like, let me know on the comment section below because I tell you what, in my real life, I get slammed for being a negative person, right? And this, that, and the other. And maybe there's some truth to that. Maybe there's just circumstantial situations with that. But I tell you what, when it comes to my chat, I think that I think that we're pretty positive. Ireland is bad, but there's not much guns. Okay, so yeah, that is true, right? I remember Conor McGregor brandishing a Mac 11 in his Ferrari, right? I mean, it looked gangster as heck, right? Just running around with an Uzi and this and that. And yeah, I think the Irish Garda went and confiscated his weapon because of that, which is kind of stupid, right? I mean, he's Conor McGregor. On top of that, Conor is mob affiliated. If y'all don't know, yeah, Conor McGregor is straight up mob affiliated. So, yeah, negative Nancy, Fresh Melon, who says, Soup says, are you able to? Am I able to say the N word? Well, yes, I am, because let's just be honest about this, right? Look, put it this way, right? I know a lot of black folks in California, right? Well, let's just say, I know enough people in the street world, okay? Let's put it like that. I know enough people in the street world, but do I say the N-word? No, and the reason why I don't do it is because as a Muslim, our job is to constantly perfect our speech without uh saying slander or anything bad or anything that has a historical negative context behind it. But I understand, if other people do it. There's this Asian boy Crip rapper in Long Beach, right? Stupid Young. You guys know him. He did a song Mando with Mozzie, right? By the way, Mozzie is from out here in Sacramento, and I know a lot of his people as well. So A lot of people slammed him for saying the N word because he's Asian, he's Cambodian, he's a Cambodian Asian saying the N word. But you know what? The guy grew up in Long Beach. You know what I mean? So I think that you're allowed to say that, and if his black homies have no problem with him saying that, then why not allow him to say that? But on any regard, so let's get back to Joe Rogan and going at Trump and Jesse on Fire's reaction to it.
Immigration policy? Yes, yes. Significantly more important.
By the way, guys, hit the like and subscribe button for me so that we can help build this channel into the biggest MMA channel on YouTube right now, because we're going to show the world how to really do MMA content and mix it up with a little bit of politics as well. Soup says, could you? I could, but I choose not to, only because it's just not a useful term in my vocabulary per se.
Yes. Okay. Because yesterday, all right, the story that we're actually going to go through.
Fresh melon juice. Saying the N word is the same as saying the N word. We all know what's said. We all know what's. So I know what you mean by that, fresh melon juice, right? If you mean to say it by terms of racist endearment, I think that's going to catch on rather quickly, and people are going to know, all right, you know what? This is the lane that this guy is coming on, and if you're saying it by terms of endearment because you're just with your homies and saying, yeah, what's up, my ninja, this and that, I think we kind of understand and know the difference in that, right? But there are people who will be like, oh, who's this white boy saying the N-word? Who's this Asian boy saying the N-word? Who's this Arab saying the N-word? There's going to be people that are going to be like that. So we also have to be mindful of that. And it just really depends on each person's own personal tolerance.
Here is going to have to do with the ceasefire that Trump called for last night, the Nobel Peace Prize he was nominated for immediately after.
Shout outs to Soups. He subbed. Thank you, my man. Thank you. And let your friends know as well. Anybody that's interested in MMA, just politics or overall life lessons, I think this is the best channel for you guys. So thank you around the world, and thank you for everybody that's supporting me on that. Fresh Melon Juice says, no, saying the N-word is the same as actually saying the N-word. Okay, I see what you mean. Okay, look into what I said. Okay, look into what I said. What do you mean? Did I miss a comment that you made? Or and then Soup says, with commentator. Okay, movies is friends. Can Ilya beat Charles this Saturday? Yes, he can. And I'm going to drop uh, a full card preview to that. By the way, I did it already on a live stream, but I'm just going to recut it and reshape it into a video form. But yeah, I already did an entire thing on a live stream, so now I'm just going to put it on video. So, and speaking of video, check out my new video that I have regarding John Jones and his recent court case and all of that. So it's all on my video section as well. But as of these days, I've been going on the live more because I don't know why I get more views on lives, maybe because I do good on lives and people recognize that, or maybe just how the algorithm works in YouTube. I don't know either way, but lives is my bread and butter right now, and so I'm kind of favoring towards that than videos. I think it's a little bit longer to get my videos out in the algorithm, but man, when I get on live stream, the algorithm is pretty healthy at that regard. Movies as friends, about to check it out now. Thanks, fam. I will always watch your lives. Thank you, my man. Yuri asks Ilya versus Islam. Man, I'm gonna go with Ilya. Oh wait, no, Ilya versus Islam. I thought you meant Ilya versus Charles. No, I'm going with Islam on that one, man. Islam all the way. I think he just has the type of wrestling that Ilya may not be able to deal with, but I think he would give him a good fight. And remember, Ilya winning this weekend is predicated on whether we're going to see Islam in him. And you know what? Here's the thing. If Islam Makhachev actually beats JDM, you know what that tells you? That tells you that the lower weight classes are a lot more elite than that of 170 and up. So, all right, Jesse on fire.
Two sides violating the ceasefire immediately after, and then Trump going ham on national television today and saying neither country knows what the fuck they're doing. So let me lay out the order we're going to do this in, okay? So we're going to go through the ceasefire announcement, exactly what was said, because he laid out exactly when everybody was going to ceasefire. Then we're going to go through what happened between the two countries after the terms had been set to the entire world. Okay, and then you guys can decide.
Alariza says, "Hi, man. How are you, my man? I hope everything is well with you in Iran. How's everything going there right now, man? I hope all is well. I hope everything is in its most safe situation right now. I know there's a lot of bombs that have been dropping in Tehran as of late, or maybe you could give us some updates on that." Alariza says, "As a guy who lives in the U.S., are you satisfied with Trump's performance? People are going back to the Capitol." Okay, good. That's good to hear. So, as an American, am I satisfied with Trump's performance? You know what? I think that there's a lot of things I wish he could have done. Like, for example, I wish he could cancel the student debt, right? I think that would increase the economy. I think that he could do a lot more with people getting, health care, right? Universal health care should be a thing in America, right? I know a lot of people will cite, oh, that, well, that's a communist idea or this and that. So there's that, right? But everything else he seems to be doing a good job in, right? Those other aspects, I can understand why he can't do it. You know, he has a base of Republicans that don't want those policies. So as a result of not wanting those policies, he has to play by those rules and what he was elected with. However, uh, I don't know, man. You know, a lot of people are mad that he campaigned as what you would call an anti-war president, but yet he's getting into wars. But then at the same time, you got to think maybe that's just inevitable in the office of being in the United States. And look, whoever is in office, okay, they're just a figurehead. There are people in the deep state that are running the show behind the scenes that are telling him what to do. So that's just something to look at and understand. Fresh Melon Juice says, Alariza, have you been taken over as a leader of the new regime? Alariza says soon. Oh man, how awesome would that be if Alariza becomes, the leader of Iran, instead of the Ayatollah? Bro, if you do that, listen, promise me I get first dibs on the interview. Here today with the new regime change and a new president of Iran, Alariza Safiye, right? What do you think? You know what I mean? Man, you'll make me the next, Tucker Carlson, inshallah. I'll be the Arab, Muslim Tucker Carlson. That would be awesome. You know what I mean? So, man, shout out to Al Ariza for that one, man. So if there's anybody that could make Iran great again, if there's anybody out there that could make the Migo out of Iran, it is Al Ariza. Al Ariza Miga. That's what it is, dude. I've been among these people who are in the Islamic regime, and I have to say they are sick. They wouldn't have nuke. They wouldn't have nuked. Okay, you're saying that they would not have nuked let me explain what you mean by that comment. If you could elaborate a little bit, Alariza.
Who's a good guy, or like which side seems to have been less actually operating in good faith than the other, and I'd be very curious to hear what you guys think in the comments. Okay, and then I mean, honestly, we just need to note the fact that Trump was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. He is trying to make a peaceful deal here. Okay, he absolutely is. Now, I assume that everybody has to be speculating on how he believed that bombing the nuclear facilities would lead to peace. I have a hypothesis. Okay, I have a feeling that Israel told them that in order for them to entertain the peace deal, they need those nuclear facilities gone, right? And so consider that as you are evaluating what happened here with the ceasefire, because I would consider us agreeing to drop bunker buster bombs on the Iranian nuclear facilities to be a really, really big concession on our part. In which case, if you did not live up to your side, that would be a pretty big problem for anybody who's keeping score here. And Trump has made very clear he is furious with Israel. Okay. He says that in this thing that we're.
All right. Now, this right here, this is where Trump actually gains me back as a supporter. Okay. When he goes after, Israel in this matter. Look, a lot of people call Trump the Jewish president, pro-Jewish, pro-Zionist, this and that. And then they make a big deal, a big fuss about him praying at the wall with the Jews and this and that. But the reality is that, well, you know what? Trump is trying to be as fair and as logical as he can as humanly possible. And this is what you get, right? Him calling out Israel, rightfully so, calling them out. So
we're about to look at. In addition to saying they don't know what the F they're doing, he is super mad at Israel, and he talks about that. Because at the end of the day, I have been seeing a lot of stuff about how, we didn't get the uranium. We missed the uranium. It's like, okay, well, that's cool, but hypothetically, if we took out their entire infrastructure for creating more or doing further enrichment of the uranium that they have, that seems like a pretty big deal. Now, after we look at the details of that, we're going to go to this because Donald Trump absolutely eviscerated
look at this. Now he goes after AOC. Look at the things that he says at AOC right here. Okay. Stupid AOC, one of the dumbest people in Congress, is now calling for my impeachment despite the fact that the crooked and corrupt Democrats have already done twice before. Yada yada. You see all this. So yeah, let's hear this.
AOC and some of the other dumbest people in Congress. That's his quote, but certainly accurate. And then after that, we're going to finish up with Rogan going after Trump's immigration stuff. So buckle in. It's going to be a long and fruitful video with lots of fun things for us to discuss. Now, I saw a comment yesterday from somebody. By the way, if you don't mind subscribing to the channel, if you haven't yet, that would be amazing. Comment.
Yeah, so don't forget to also subscribe to Jesse on Fire's channel as well, because yeah, he drops some pretty interesting content and content that I can get behind as well. So
you said we were about to have some fun, and so I watched the entire thing. So I think what he was indicating was that he likes watching me make fun of leftists. And here's the thing: I have a barn burner of a video coming later on that. Okay, which is this thing right here, which is about a trans activist youth director getting caught on hidden camera discussing how he helps kids transition behind their parents' back. So that's another video.
Oh man, listen, helping other kids transition behind their parents' back. Listen, do you know what I would do if you? I mean, look. First of all, you shouldn't even have your kids having that thoughts in the first place, right? You gotta, sort of set them down for that straight away, right? But man, I would do horrific things that I can't even discuss here if that was the case.
You know what I'm gonna do for today? Definitely watch out for that. And I'm also gonna do some other lives of TikTok things to make fun of them. Oh, and then if you've been following the John Jones story, the body cam footage came out. So that is going to be a good time for all. So come back later and check that out. All right. So starting with the ceasefire, let's just quickly look at this because this is really important, right? He announces a ceasefire. He gets nominated for a Nobel Prize. But here's the thing, okay? So in approximately 6 hours from now, when Israel and Iran have wound down and completed their in-progress final missions for 12 hours, for 12 hours, at which point the war will be considered ended. Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire, and upon...
Alariza says, if your kids are having those kinds of thoughts, send them to Dagestan and forget. Oh, yeah. Believe me, if you send them to Dagestan after something like that, they're going to forget straight away and realize they are a man or, yeah. Felix Guzman Martinez says, who wins, The Rock or Sting? Very interesting question. I'm assuming you're asking because of this, because of the belt. So The Rock, I'm going to go with The Rock on that one. My fellow Islander brother, I suppose. So, yeah, I'm going to go with The Rock on that one. Go Rock. Felix Guzman says, free Palestine. Shout outs to you, my man.
On the 24th hour, an official end to the 12-day war will be saluted by the world. Okay, so what I read right there, okay, is that there was a 12-hour period in which Israel was there was 12 hours from when Iran was cutting off everything.
So this is what Trump is vehemently upset at Israel for. Okay, so the 12-hour mark of the ceasefire was supposed to signify that, all right, you know what? Get your stuff together, stop bombing, and then regroup with whatever position you are at, and just basically stop bombing in between that time frame. What Israel wanted to do was act like a kid who was 5 minutes into getting ready into his school time, and he missed out his homework last night. So therefore, he wants to compensate by doing it all together right now, right? Yeah, that's sort of what is very similar to that regard.
And then when Israel was cutting off everything, okay? I have a feeling that maybe that was some kind of weird concession that Israel asked for. They're all, we're going to stop until they prove that they will stop. So it's like, okay, fine. Iran agrees to stop here. 12 hours later, Israel will stop, and then that's that. Okay. So I think the most important thing to consider when you hear what actually happened here is like, if you wanted to demonstrate that you were operating in bad faith, how would you do that if you're Israel? You know, like how would you do that? Because if it's me, I would say that during the 12-hour period, what you have gotten Iran to agree to.
Shout out to Fresh Melon Juice Free to homie John Jones on that one. We're gonna pin that comment right now. Fresh Melon Juice. There it is. Free John Jones, man. Free Palestine, free John Jones, free everybody that's being oppressed. Now, I don't know if John Jones is being oppressed by any degree, but yeah. Alariza says, speaking of Johns, do you think there is a possibility of him making an excuse of retiring so he can hop on Juice and not be tested, then come back 6 months and fight Tom Aspinall? Man, listen, you know what? I read someone say this comment. I don't know if it was Fresh Melon Juice. Fresh Melon Juice, let me know if you're in the chat and let me know if you can confirm that. I believe it was you that said that, or maybe another chat member that has said that. But that is a good hypothesis, Alariza. So yeah, I would have a reason to believe that is a good reason to say, hey, you know what? Maybe this is the reason why he's getting up out of here, is because yeah, he wants a little bit of that time to sort of get ready, get his juice flowing, as they say, right? Marty Miller says it's definitely not out of the question. Or was that Marty Miller that said that? Was that you, Fresh Melon Juice? Or was it somebody else that said that? Or was it just Alariza that said this yesterday? I remember somebody on the chat saying that same thing that you said, Alariza. So in fact, it was so identical to how you worded it. No, I never said that. Okay. Alariza says it just seems odd him retiring out of nowhere. Well, this case, right? I mean, is a big distraction. The case right now is a big distraction, but really the case is not really that big. Like it's not like John was charged with a RICO charge or a murder or anything like that. It wasn't no OJ Simpson situation. It wasn't no Big U situation or John Gotti situation. So Fresh Melon Juice says, I do not promote juice, only melon juice. Okay. I do not promote juice, only melon juice. You know what? If you said that in one sentence, I would pin that comment again, right? Because then if I just pin only melon juice or I do not promote juice, it would not make sense within the context. But if you wrote it in one sentence, yeah, I would have absolutely pinned that, right? I do not promote juice, only melon juice. And not only that, the melon juice that he promotes it's fresh. All right.
No more firing. You launch some crazy, super huge attack on them that eclipses all of the attacks that you've done previously, right? Okay, that clearly is like, we are not operating good faith, which is exactly what they did. All right.
Uh, it's split because of copyright. Oh, okay, gotcha. All right. Fair use on that.
So listen to Trump here, and then we'll discuss this.
And then Trump goes off. He like says they don't know what the fuck they're doing. You know what? I've never heard a president ever in the history of American presidency or politics ever dropped an N bomb on camera. Now, look, have they dropped N bombs in private? You know what? Obama called Kanye West an effing idiot after he was watching. Obama was watching Kanye at the Grammys, I think. And so Kanye got up there, the whole thing. Oh, well, Beyonce is the greatest of all time. Taylor Swift is cool, but Beyonce is the greatest of all time, with his whole pro black thing that he had going on. And so Obama said, and a White House staff member heard this, he called Kanye an effing idiot, right? But that's not recorded. That's not on camera. Trump right here flat out says the F bomb, at these people, and then says, "Do you understand that? Do you understand that?" Listen, you know what? This is what people voted Trump in for is, raw and uncut language that he's going to display. So
further. And this is where he says they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, I do. They violated, but Israel violated it too. Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before.
the likes of which I have never seen before, right? Very emotive in his language. By the way, as someone who's an English language expert, I'm telling you exactly Trump's talking style, and that's called emotive language that he's trying to uh, convey to you, right? The likes of which no one has ever seen before. I do it too, believe it or not. I do it as well when I say that this is the most epic mixed martial arts channel in the history of mankind. And here's the thing, who can deny that, right? If your channel is epic, it's a mixed martial arts channel, and then there's maybe 5 or 10 people that agree on that. Okay, it is the most epic of all time because it's an epic experience for 5 people, 500 people, 600 people, 1,000 people, depending on what my average is on a daily view cycle. So
The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. When I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
all right, man. It's good that there are some channels out there that sort of what do you call it? Uh that allow him to say the F word, right? Because obviously, if it's a network TV, they're going to censor it. Elariza says, "Dude, that last attack that Israel did, which Trump is talking about, was the most horrible." Okay, further elaborate. What made it horrible? Did it hit innocent civilians? Did it touch places that it shouldn't have? Further elaborate on that, if you don't mind, Elariza. Thank you.
Dude, he is hot. He is hot. And here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Now, again, I don't try to get into the middle of why countries do who, what, or where, who the good guys are, who the bad guys are. I don't do that. It's just one of those things that, like, I can use common sense and look at a thing and go, wait a minute. You had a 12-hour ceasefire, and in that 12 hours when Iran is supposed to not be bombing you, you dropped the biggest attack that you've ever done on them.
You know what? That's a good point. Burko, shout outs to Burko, my man. Haven't seen you in a while, man. Shout outs to our Russian viewers out there. Charles for the upset. I can very well see that, Burko, only because you know what? Charles is dangerous at all times. And yeah, Ilya Tapora definitely has to be on his toes. But yeah, I had to, respectfully disagree with you on that. And I'm going to go with Ilya Tapora for the safe win. But I'm not a gambling man, but we do have someone in here, Yuri. I think Yuri has put an $11,000 bet on Ilya Tapora. Man, good luck to you, bro. Good luck to you. Alarisa says, I mean, since the war started, that was the strongest. It hit civilians in huge smoke, loud sound. Okay, and then people really panic. So you know what that reminds me of, right? The bell rings, the two fighters are told to go in their corner, and then one fighter punches the other fighter while the other fighter has his hands down, knowing that it's the end of the round, right? That's sort of what it is in combat sports metaphor, in ways to sort of describe what's going on with that particular topic. Geez, 11K, yeah, 11K euros. So we're talking about like yeah, 11K dollars, $11,000, because he put 10 K in euros. So 10K in euros is $11,000 in American dollars. So yeah, Yeah, so 10,000 euros, $11,000 in American dollars. If you put 10K, you make 1,800 bucks, brother. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a gambling man, but if Yuri, you're in here, Burko has a message for you. Um, but yeah, man, it's not really that big, is it? Like you'd probably make more if it was Charles, right, with a $10,000 bet. If you put 10K on Oliveira, you win 33. Wow. You see, that's where the bet is at, right? That's where the bet is at, is that upset, with Charles Oliveira. See, that's the thing with gambling, right? I'm not going to pretend to know, but over the years, now that I've been, doing MMA YouTube, a lot of people in the chat and people that I've collaborated with, especially with Zane Musa Boxing Dosage, right? He's really helped me, sort of understand that particular game, even though it's not part of MMA that I really should care about, because look at me, right? Look at the beard I have going on. We can't be gambling or anything like that, but obviously I can talk about it because it is an MMA subject. It's just not an MMA subject that I'm extremely familiar with. Burko says 10K on Oliveira makes you 170,000 bucks. Yeah, you're right, brother. Haha. It's look, man. Here's the thing, right? 10K on your 10K on Ilya Tapora, and it's not making you much. You know what I mean? Which is crazy, right? And then if you lose, if Ilya Tapora loses, man, you just don't know, man. See, here's the thing about MMA gambling, right? You don't know what the other fighter is going through. You don't know what Ilya Tapora is going through. You know what I mean? You don't know if this guy had an argument with his girl, or if he had, some kind of underlying injuries. You don't know if he ate the wrong food in Las Vegas, fight week. Now, I don't know how that's going to happen. Most fighters eat very clean all throughout their fight week. I can attest to that, right? There's no playing around with that. But it is after the weigh-ins where you can basically eat whatever you want, right? Some fighters eat for performance. Some fighters say, well, on fight day, what you eat doesn't really matter because you've already put in whatever it is that you put in, and it's not going to change a thing. I know Henry Cejudo on fight day, even as formulaic as he is with the way that he designs his camp, uh, he's still, kind of lets loose after the weigh-ins, right? He eats candy, eats all types of, cupcakes, all types of sweets that he normally didn't eat during camp because it's sort of like his reward going into the fight. Or some fighters would just rather eat all the unhealthy stuff after the fact, right? To just sort of celebrate. But yeah, Holloway eats cupcakes. I was about to say that. Yes, very good, Marty Miller. That's a very good observation. He does. He eats cupcakes, right before his fights. But then there are fighters, right? And I'll tell you this, right? My Muay Thai trainers that helped me, get this trophy right here. When I was training for that in 2010, man, I did not eat anything bad, not even leading up to the fight after the weigh-ins, right? I ate, very clean or this and that, but that was the instructions that I was given. They gave me, protein pancakes, right? Basically pancakes made out of a protein shake. Okay, so very interesting, to say the least, right? So, but again, you eat something wrong after the weigh-ins, you might have a stomach ache. Now you're going into the fight compromised. So, moral of the story, just like what Burko says, don't gamble, folks. I'm going to highlight that comment because that's an important message right there. Don't gamble, folks. So, keep that in mind. All right, so here we go. Jesse on fire with Trump.
Okay, like clearly not really looking for peace, And I literally was just watching.
Oh, clearly not looking for peace. By the way, for those of you that don't know, Jesse on Fire is of Jewish descent. And I don't think that really matters because he's not a practicing Jew. He doesn't espouse pro Israeli stuff. In fact, Jesse on Fire has more Arab Muslim friends than he actually has Israeli friends, right? I mean, the guy is friends with Ali Abdelaziz. He's friends with, Tariq. what is that guy? Tariq, the one that trains with Jake Shields, another Arab guy, Faraz Zahabi. So, he's more with the Arabs than he is with the Israelis, even though he's of Jewish descent. But this is him saying that, you know what, Israel is not really interested in peace if they were going to attack midway between that. And you know what? Trump is sort of exposing that reality because people often like to think that, oh, well, the Israelis are fighting for the good side, or fighting with honor, or this and that, and that's sort of yeah. Oh, and Bernie Miller says, don't forget, Jesse has never lost a fight. Well, I tell you what, uh he claims that he's never lost fights in the streets. That's not impossible to believe. Okay, I know a lot of homies like that, right? Like they are undefeated in the streets. I mean, like really, because think about this, right? They pick and choose who they're going to fight, right? So if you pick and choose who you're going to fight, it's more than likely that you are going to walk out a winner in most of those exchanges, especially if you know that you can beat the other guy. Now, here's the thing with Jesse. He goes to jiu-jitsu, trains with some of the top jiu-jitsu artists in Austin, Texas, and he's trained a lot out here in Northern California as well, at Caesar Gracie's camp. By the way, the same camp as Nate Diaz. So I'm sure that he's lost some fights in the practice room. But then again, we're talking about practice, right? But that's what I'm saying, right? I think that every guy has lost in some kind of way. Even John Jones, there were moments where he got beat up by, out of all people, Brian Stan. Okay, imagine that. Brian Stan submitting John Jones. Well, it's happened. It's happened before. I'm not saying that it's happened now. I'm not saying that it's never going to happen again if they get in the practice room, but it has happened. So, just a little touch on that. But yeah, man, you're right. Jesse hasn't lost the fight officially when it comes to the streets. So, and hasn't lost one professionally either, because Jesse is 0-0, as a pro, and as an amateur doesn't even have any amateur fights, on that regard. So,
Watching Bernie Sanders on the Joe Rogan Experience today. Very interesting. You guys should check that out. And he's saying that the reason that
oh wow, Bernie Sanders was on Joe Rogan. I got to check that out. Okay, I got to check that podcast out with Bernie Sanders and Joe Rogan.
that Israel is able to just do whatever they want. Okay, like they just do whatever they want with stuff like this. This is like directly defying the president of the United States. It's because anyone in Congress who steps up and says a thing like, as an example, Bernie Sanders actually put forward what do you call it? An agreement. That's the wrong word. Whatever. An agreement that said that we will not fund. We'll send no more weapons to Israel as long as they're continuing to bomb Gaza and hurting kids and women. Right? And they only got 15 votes in all of Congress. And he's like, "Why do you think that is?" And Rogan's like, "Because if anybody votes for it, their career's over." He's like, "Exactly."
All right, so Alariza says, only guy who has never lost an undefeated 50-0 Chael Sonnen. Oh, yo, listen. All right, so you guys know I know Uriah Faber, right? So after he lost one of his fights, I believe it was against Dominic Cruz at UFC 199. Chael Sonnen sends a message to Uriah Faber. He shows us all in the gym. Hey guys, look what Chael sent me. He's like, what he send you, Uriah? He says, yeah, man, hey, sorry for your loss. I don't know what that feels like. That's what he wrote to Uriah Faber. He wrote, I'm sorry, Uriah, you lost. I don't know what that feels like. And, we're laughing at it because it's like, you know what? It's just Chael, being wholesome, being funny, and trying to, break the ice off, a really agonizing defeat, right? So, yeah, man, yeah, that's funny. It's Chael's son and undefeated.
That's exactly right. And so we're in a position where, like, I mean, this is just directly defying the United States. Like, obviously, it doesn't matter if, like, oh, I had 12 hours. Okay, well, if you're just like largest attack ever, that's giving Trump the middle finger. It's giving the United States the middle finger. It's giving Iran the middle finger. It's giving everybody the middle finger. It's like, we are going to continue to fight no matter what. And you're like, I mean, why even pretend that you're going to do a ceasefire then? I'll give you a perfect example of what.
Well, look, here's the thing. The reason why Israel is doing a ceasefire is because they're taking a lot of damage. And so while they're taking a lot of damage, guess what they decided to do? The bell rings. The referee tells them to go in their corner, right? In this case, the referee being Donald Trump. And as soon as the bell rings and they're being instructed to go into the corner, Israel does this to Iran, sucker punches them. That's literally what's going on, right? And Trump was just not having it. Trump doesn't need to listen to anybody. Right now because he's in his last term. He's not like these other Congress people that have their balls in a swivel by Israel. Okay, uh, because right now they are sort of in term to term with their political careers. In other words, they could get voted out or they could get put out. They could have their careers threatened by Israel, but not Donald Trump. You see, he's in his last hurrah. He's going to do what is right without any compromise, or at least in the best way that he can possible, right? So that's the reality of this situation. Somebody needed to call out Israel, and there was nobody else in the world that was going to do that but Donald Trump. Not the Arabs could do that. None of the sheikhs of the princes or anything like that could do that, or the kings of Saudi Arabia or Jordan. None of them could do that. But Trump, on the other hand, he can because there's just that special relationship with Israel and the United States. And as a result, Trump is putting his foot down on that. So, man, big ups to Trump on that one. You guys want to see my social media post that I wrote, regarding that? It's kind of controversial, but I'm gonna I'm gonna put it on anyway. So hold on a second. Okay, I'm gonna show you what I wrote about Donald Trump here. You guys are gonna love this. Hold on a second here. Did you guys read that? Did you guys read that? Hold on a second. Let me get to this fellow right here real quick. Hold on. I'm calling up a homie of mine from Canada because we're going to do a preview on UFC 317. Oh, no answer. Okay, we'll get back to that in just a second. Okay, hold on.
What this is like. Okay, so
Conor McGregor says Trump said the F word. Oh yeah, he did, and was very adamant about it as well. So yeah, all right, here we go.
sometimes combat sports teams, so like jiu-jitsu teams or MMA gyms, whatever, like the world that I come from. Okay, there are sometimes personalities that do not get along and clash. And given the nature of the type of training that you guys are participating in, if you have a problem with a person, sometimes it gets a little bit hairy. And so sometimes you have to have a coach or the owner of the academy or whatever who has to bring these two guys in and be like, look, no more of this, dude. You guys are a toxic culture in this place. So starting tomorrow, okay, this is the end of this. It's over, or else we're gonna have a serious problem. And the two guys are right there, and they're all fine, and they're all right, fine. They go, all right, good. So everybody, calm down.
That's a very good example that Jesse made right there. Very, very good example. That is really what it is, right? Two guys that are at a gym, or you can use a workplace environment to sort of use that as a metaphor. Yeah, that's literally what is going on, right? You got two guys that are being toxic to each other, that are causing a cancer in the environment of that workplace or that gym or whatever type of environment that you would like to put X, Y, and Z on it. And then there's a mediator, which is Trump, trying to tell these guys, look, this is what you got to do. You have to chill out because it's going to destroy the world. You're going to destroy each other, and you're going to destroy what we got going on.
Fine, shake hands. We're like, and then one of them goes into the locker room and takes a dump and puts it in the guy's locker. You know, And then the next day, it's like,
All right, you know what? That's a very explicit way of putting it, Jesse on fire. But yeah, you know me. I'm not all for toilet talk or anything like that. It's just not my thing. But whatever. I get what he's saying.
are you kidding me? We literally just had this conversation last night. And they're like, yeah, you said starting tomorrow. You said starting tomorrow. I did it last night. They're all. I said starting tomorrow, and you did. Does that make sense to you? Like you think that you're in the right here? You took a dump in his locker. Yeah, I did, but I did it before the ceasefire. So he shouldn't respond because we agreed. No responses. No responses starting today. So that's what that is. Now, let's talk some funny stuff here because I don't think anything is more hilarious than Trump lighting up AOC and some of these other nimrods.
All right, so now let's hear Donald Trump light up, AOC right here. This is going to get really good right here.
Congress, and then we'll get to the Joe Rogan stuff. So this is what Trump posted on Truth Social. First of all, look at how long this is. Okay, this is a huge post. He must have been mad.
All right, so he went Conor McGregor mode on this one right here. Okay, this is Conor McGregor mode. Stupid AOC, dumbest people in Congress now calling for my impeachment, despite the fact that crooked, corrupt Democrats have already done twice before. The reason for her rantings is all of the victories the U.S. has had under the Trump administration. The Democrats aren't used to winning, and she can't stand the concept of our country being successful again. When we examine her test scores, we found out that she is not qualified for office, but nonetheless far more qualified than Crockett, who is a seriously low IQ individual, or Elon Omar, who does nothing but complain about our country, yet failed the country that she comes from and doesn't have a government, is drenched in a crime and poverty, and is rated as one of the worst in the world. If that's even rated at all, how dare you? How dare the mouse tell us how to run the United States of America? Now we're just coming back from the radical left experiment with Sleepy Joe Kamala and the open pen in charge. What a disaster it was. AOC should be forced to take a cognitive test that I should have completed at Walter Reed Medical Center as part of as part of my physical. As a doctor in charge said, Trump aced it, meaning I got every answer right instead of her constantly complaining and strengthening out her filth, disgusting, crime-ridden streets in the district she represents, and which she never goes to anymore. And then he further elaborates, you better start. Okay, let's hear this.
It's funny because I can't really see him sitting there and type. I wonder if he voice dictates these or something. But anyway, nonetheless, all right. You know what's really funny to think about though?
Yeah, I think that's what he did. He voice texted it and then had somebody fill in the grammars and all of that and then sent it out just like that. So yeah.
I like when you get into like writing like a long email that you're all worked up about, or a long comment, or a long X post or whatever, then people start trying to talk to you and you're like, hang on. Hey, hang on. And then someone finally like breaks through your concentration. I'm doing something. Okay, that's like the story of my life, right? It's really funny to think about the president of the United States being there and Mr. President, hey, hang on. I'm torching AOC right now. Okay, I can't do what you want me to do because I need to light up AOC and El-Kheer no more. That needs to happen, and I agree with him. All right, so this is what he says here. Okay, so stupid AOC.
The fighting life. Shout out to you, my man. Just like Kamala Harris made fun of his rallies, Trump cannot stand someone insulting him. Yeah, he can't, bro. Listen, he does have that kind of mentality about him, right? A very Conor McGregor, like even myself, right? I'm not the type of person that really takes well to insults. Like if you insult me, well, I'm going to insult you back and give you a mirror of reflection on yourself and let you know exactly who you are, right? That's kind of what Trump does, but he does it in a very abrasive manner and sometimes in a very matter of fact type of way.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, one of the dumbest people in Congress, is now calling for my impeachment, despite the fact that the crooked and corrupt Democrats have already done that twice before. The reason for her rantings is all of the victories that the USA has had under the Trump administration. The Democrats aren't used to winning, and she can't stand the concept of our country being successful again. When we examine her test scores, we will find out that she is not qualified for office, but nevertheless far more qualified than Crockett, who is a seriously low IQ individual, or Ilhan Omar, who does nothing but complain about her country, yet the failed country that she comes from doesn't have a government, is drenched in crime and poverty, and is rated one of the worst places in the world, if it's even rated at all.
Wow. If it's even rated at all, man. Listen, man. All right, man. Trump, Trump really went sharp on this one.
Oh my God, dude. Come on. If you can't have a sense of humor about the world in general, you should get on my level. It's much more fun because I just like looking at these screeching lunatics and asking myself, like, what are they like? What are they actually looking at? Like, what's the world that you see? How would this justify your fury? They're all, well, what about the Republicans who want to control a woman's body? It's my body. I'm like, you, ma'am, are a 50-year-old married woman, right? Yes. No one wants to control your body. What's that supposed to mean? Well, I'm saying, like, you're not going to have a baby, right? Like, you and your husband, you're not going to have a baby, right? Well, no, my husband had a vasectomy and I'm 50, right? So what are you worried about as it relates to that particular issue? Why is that your number one issue that you're screeching?
Uh, the Life of Fighting says, I am sure Biden and someone wrote his post for him because they were professional, but Trump just speaks his mind by calling AOC stupid for sure. That right there kind of shows that that was, Trump's own language and his own vernacular, right? This is Trump vernacular 101, everything that he's saying here, right? Calling you stupid, questioning your integrity, questioning uh, your worth, questioning your quality of work, right? And then Dixie Time Kevin says John Jones needs to go to AA. Shout out to Dixie Time Kevin. Let me know what part of the world you are from. I think this is the first time that I've seen you in here. Yeah, please let me know what part of the world you are from, and don't forget to like and subscribe as well.
Think about, do you have any daughters? No, I don't. What? We don't have any children. Okay? We're a progressive couple. We don't have children. So literally, what the fuck are you talking about then? Like, what? I honestly, I don't understand. How is this that big of a deal for you? It has no effect on you whatsoever.
Because unfortunately, a lot of liberals love to virtue signal. That's really what it comes down to, right? It's a culture of virtue signaling.
Well, I don't like the idea of people wanting to control my body. It's like they don't want to control your body. Well, I don't want to control women's bodies. Well, they don't want to control women's bodies. They want to protect babies. Like I don't get involved in this topic. Okay, I can see it both ways. This is one of those things. Like I can see it both ways. Like, hey, you advocates who want to, make sure enshrine abortion. They don't want to control your body. They see your pregnancy as a baby they are trying to protect. Babies, like those babies, little babies that people carry around. I know maybe you don't feel a maternal connection to it, but a lot of people do. And so they're like, yeah, you shouldn't be able to just go kill that thing to make it more convenient for your life. And you guys over here, I know you just see the baby, but this is actually an actual person who has plans for their life. And in many cases, it was completely unplanned. They were irresponsible young kids. And bottom line is, making them carry a pregnancy to term seems totally insane to them and a lot of other people. Okay, like if it's early stage, just leave alone. But yet on this side, they're like, baby.
Zachary says, what did little Joe say about Big Trump? Well, I don't know. Did he say something, or is that supposed to be leading towards a joke and a punchline? Let me know what that means, Zachary, so we can further elaborate on that. Shout outs to Zachary and Dixie Time Kevin, new chat people that I've seen in here. Also, let me know what part of the world you are from. I'm very excited to know what part of the world everybody is from. And yeah, let's get the show cracking, boys.
Killers. And on this side, they're like, you guys want to control my body. You're like, everybody just.
Joe is such a little munchkin. Joe, as in, oh, okay, Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan. Okay. You meant Joe Rogan. Gotcha. I thought you meant like Sleepy Joe. Okay. Yeah, we're going to get to that. Jesse's going to get to that in a second.
Chill out just a little bit. Okay. Now, anyway, let's get back to this. Okay, so the Iran. How dare the mouse tells us how to run the United
Yo, he called her a mouse, bro. He called AOC a mouse.
States of America. We're just now coming back from the radical left experiment with Sleepy Joe, Kamala, and the auto pen in charge. What a disaster it was. AOC should be forced to take the cognitive test when I just completed at Walter Reed Medical Center as part of my physical. As the doctor in charge said, Trump aced it, meaning I got every answer
He says, meaning Trump aced it. I got every answer correct. That's Trump's style right there. That's how he gets down on that.
right. Instead of her constantly complaining.
Dixie says, I am from the USA. I am as well. What part of the, well, okay, I'm assuming Dixie, maybe? Yeah, maybe that's, maybe, correlate your name. I'm from Sacramento, California. So, yeah.
Alexander should go back to Queens, where I was also brought up, and straighten out her filthy, disgusting, crime-ridden streets of the district she represents, and which she never goes to anymore.
Oh, Zachary, you're from Sacramento. Okay, shout out to you, my man. What part of Sacramento are you from, man? Maybe we've seen each other, in person. Franklin Boulevard right now. Okay, I know where that is. Okay, shout out to you, my man. Shout out to Zachary. So, man, if you ever see me in person, out here in Sac, yeah, don't be a stranger and say what's up. You know what I mean? And if I ever see you in person, and if I'm live streaming, yeah, don't be shy. You could make a cameo anytime, man. So, shout outs to my fellow Sacramento psycho, Zachary. All right.
She better start worrying about her own primary before she thinks about beating our great Palestinian senator, crying Chuck Schumer, whose career is definitely on very thin ice. She and her Democrat friends have just hit the lowest poll numbers in congressional history. So go ahead and try impeaching me again. Make my day.
Wow. Yeah. Hey, listen, man, he fired back. Trump. Oh, Harrison, Arkansas. All right, man. Shout outs to Arkansas, man. We got some Midwest boys up in here, man. Shout outs to you. Arkansas. I know Bryce Mitchell is from that part of the world, right? Fresh Melon Juice says, I'm from Inglewood. Oh, he's up to no good. That's right. We got some West Siders. We got some Midwest. We got some East Coast. We got all of the United States. We even got Iranians in here. We got Israelis in here. We got Russians. We got Europeans. We got the British, the Irish. Man, we got everybody from around the world up in here, man. Shout outs to everybody around the world, bro. No, don't shout us out. It's shite. It's a shite. Oh, hey, but you know what? Why not? Listen, we represent the United States regardless, right? It may not be the well, I mean, I don't know. For all I know, I would probably have fun being down in Arkansas, right? But I love where I'm at in California. In my opinion, it doesn't have to be everybody's opinion, right? But in my opinion, I think when you think of America, you think of California, in my opinion, right? Because everything that the world loves about America is predicated on either California, New York, Miami, but mostly California. The Midwest is cool too. They got a lot of farms, right? If you're into agriculture, I think that's one of the beautiful things about the United States. So, uh, is Marty Miller asks, is Sacramento very woke? You know what? There was a point where they are. I think there's a shift going on right now, especially in the minority community. There's a lot of minorities now in the Hispanic and in the Black side of things, and especially in the Asian side, where they're leaning towards conservatism a little bit more now. So, at least just for my own uh, anecdotal experience and and observation on that regard.
Oh, man. Come on. Come on. That's funny. He's the president of the United States. Okay. And he went ham on her like that. I just think I don't know, man. I find it very entertaining, and I think everybody else should find it entertaining as well. All right, so let's move over to the segment.
Life of Fighting says a lot of foreigners think of America like conservatives from Texas. Everyone is pulling a gun on everyone. Yeah, you know what? So guns are really a serious aspect of American culture, right? Because it's not only the white conservative rednecks, farmers, and all of that that have guns. Minorities have guns. Okay, like when you think of America, you think of cowboys and Indians. You also think of Bloods and Crips, right? Because there's nowhere in the world that has styled and fashioned gangbanging the way that America has, right? So it kind of coincides with American culture, the Wild West culture that the West Coast has inherited from the cowboys and Indians and whatnot. So, or Native Americans. I don't like calling them Indians because we know what Indians are. And yeah, Indians are something that is what Cash Patel is, not Indians as in Black Hawk, Littlefoot, and yeah, all of these, Native American terms, but on any regard.
On Joe Rogan.
All right, so here we go. The main event of the evening, right? Joe Rogan blasting Donald Trump, and it has something to do with immigration. You know what? Let me elaborate on that right here on the details below, okay? Okay, regarding immigration. Okay, so we'll put it down like that. Uh, Fresh melon juice. Why only blood and Crips at reds and blues? Isn't their favorite color purple? Well, I tell you what, red and blue make green. I'll tell you that. Red and blue definitely make green. And you know what? The way that the Bloods and Crips are looking at right now, I'll tell you this from anecdotal experience. I know a lot of Bloods, a lot of Crips that are friends with each other, right? So it's not like the 90s where blue goes on red and red goes on blue. Sometimes there's aspects of blue going on blue and red going on, similar to politics, just like American politics right now. There's a divided red team right now on the Republican side. And it's crazy that it sort of mirrors California gangbanging in a nutshell. So, all right.
Right. So this is so Joe Rogan actually said something very similar to this in a video that I covered on Play with Matches, Gabrielle and Mai's channel. If you haven't ever followed that, I say it all the time, but the link is in the description, down below the description of this video. Play with Matches is the name of that, and we covered it because Rogan was he was talking about family separation, and it was bizarre. And so we did a video about it. It turned out it was an old video. Okay, it was an old video that somebody reposted pretending that it was recent about Rogan's opinion on immigration. This one is very recent. This is something that just happened, and he's talking about the way that ICE is implementing these raids. So let's watch this thing, and then we'll discuss it, and then we'll look at some of the responses from people on X.
ICE raids are fucking nuts, man.
Life of Fighting says, did you hear about Liver King getting arrested for trying to fight Joe Rogan? I am not joking. Look it up. Oh, yeah, I heard about that. I might do a video on that right after I do a full card video for UFC 317. But yeah, thank you for telling me that. I am doing further research on that particular video right now. And yeah, we're going to drop some videos on that. So inshallah.
Watching this protest on television, it's like,
the raids are nuts. The yes.
I think the protest is not a little too hard. Well,
oh wow, there's Louis J. Gomez right there with Joe Rogan, the former co-host of Michael Bisping's podcast. Yeah, they were great together, man. Louis J. Gomez and Michael Bisping were a great team together, right? They sort of have this, UK British / East Coast America type of transatlantic vibe going on, right? They really bounced well off of each other, and unfortunately, J. Louis Gomez had to be replaced as Michael Bisping's co-host, but that's Michael Bisping's loss, and that's his choice by the end of the day. Nonetheless, yeah.
I don't think if the Trump administration, if they're running and they said, we're going to go to Home Depot and we're going to arrest all the people at Home Depot, we're going to go to construction sites, and we're going to just tackle people at construction sites. I don't think anybody would sign up for that. They said, we're going to get rid of the criminals and the gang members first, right? And now we're seeing Home Depots get raided. That's crazy. I swear.
Okay, and not only Home Depot, there's also elementary school graduations, school graduations period from all levels, from middle school, high school to college, and then just workplaces that you never would have thought or imagined. And then on top of that, you got people skipping out work because they're afraid that ICE might come at any particular moment. I mean, it's yeah, I could see why he's totally against this.
So yeah, I think that Rogan speaks for a large part of the base. Now, I don't know about necessarily the majority, but a large part of the base for sure is kind of like, hey, man, this is not what we signed up for. You know, we like them going into hotels and like raiding hotels and finding, or those plants, like those chicken processing plants, things like that. And they're going in there and then they're arresting all of these people who are working at chicken processing plants and then pulling them out of there and sending them home. Now, I understand both sides of this argument. This is very similar to the abortion one because I do understand both sides of this. Okay, on one side, you have people who are like, those should be Americans who have those jobs, right? I don't necessarily disagree with that. And on the other side, it's like, okay, we voted for them to go and find like criminals who are human traffickers, as well as these guys are like bad guys, like really bad guys. And I'm sorry, but you're not going to find the bad guys looking for work at Home Depot or having a full-time job that they show up for every single day, trying, sending money back to Mexico, trying to create a better life for themselves and their families, and they pay taxes. People who are here and they had to cut a corner to get into the country, but what they've done for the last 5 years or whatever it is go to work every single day and get a paycheck and a W-2 and all that. It's kind of like, dude, why are we wasting our energy on them? You know what I mean? I don't know. To me, I will always fall back into the people are people are people. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like I do not see a difference between a black person, white person, Palestinian.
Tekken says Joe would spinning back kick Liver King back to the Stone Age. He definitely would. Look, I'm going to talk about that in my bonus stream session because right after this video, I'm going to end it and go into the bonus stream session where we talk about life stories, life lessons, and everything in between, and a little recap of everything that we talked about. So yeah, I'm going to get to that in a second. I'm going to get to talking about why certain people think they can fight because they're built a certain way or because they're in shape or this and that, but never really had any martial arts training. I'm going to go into that. I'm also going to go into ethics versus law, which, by the way, correlates to the aspect of immigration and policies of this particular nature, right? We're going to go into that. So look out for the bonus stream. It is coming soon in, I would say, about 3 minutes from now.
Palestinian person, Israeli person, whatever, except for where they were born, where they grew up. And like it's like our base models are all exactly the same. Okay. Now, if you're a gang member, if you're a human trafficker, as far as I'm concerned, we could change the policy to we round you up, put you into vats of acid, and that's the end of you. Okay. Like people who go around and they victimize people, and that's kind of their role in life. Like I have no sympathy for them at all. None. Like you could there's nothing I would not sign up for. Okay. I would be draconian with them. But
well, here's one thing that I sort of not totally agree on that particular notion, right? Now, he says gang members or this and that. Look, there are different types of gang members and different reasons why they're in gangs, not necessarily because they want to victimize other people. Now, look, you could argue that they victimize their ops or their enemies. Okay, if that's the case, you know what Denzel said in Training Day, right? Let the animals wipe each other out as long as they're not hurting innocent civilians. Life of Fighting says if they are helping our economy by working hard in the workforce, there should be some way to help them stay here. Right, I agree. Right, instead of this blanket, statement or blanket action of just rounding everybody up based on a technicality. Tekken says being in shape and being in fighting shape are two different things. A lot of gym bros and roid abusers don't know this. Very true. Very true.
People with families.
I'm going to go into that in my bonus stream, by the way, so stay tuned.
Who are doing the best they can and going to work, contributing, working painstaking hours, and like incredible number of hours a week. With like they're figuring like at these like manufacturing plants. Their fingers all are like they're. It's just crazy. Like it's really hard work. I don't see the purpose of going and then rounding all of them up and shipping them out. You know, I just to me those are people that we want, right? Like those are people that we want. That's what we said. We said we wanted hardworking people, right? I think everybody's aligned on that, aren't we? Now, where Elon got into hot water with people,
Marty Miller agrees with Tekken on that one.
well, had to do with the visas related to pulling a bunch of, Indian, Indian software engineers and then pulling them over because you could pay them less. And he said that they were used to working harder than Americans and whatever. Okay, that is a totally different issue. Okay, like you're talking about high skilled workers, which there are an abundance of in the United States looking for software engineering jobs.
So Fresh Melon Juice says this guy's basically saying he wants slaves. It's sick. Yeah, you know what? That's the thing, isn't it? Right? Like, look, here's the thing. This is one thing where I sort of agree with the immigration policy a little bit, and this is why this is going to be controversial, and people may not understand where I'm coming from. Look, I'm going to tell you why I love the reason why I think America is great is because it's great for me. You understand? It's great for me. It's not great for everybody else. I'm going to be honest with you, right? Living in America, okay, this is going to sound very controversial, but the only way that you're going to live happy in America is if you have a little something, okay? You got a little bit of money, you got a career going, you got some assets going, you have some inheritance, you have something going on. If you're coming here for a better life, yeah, there's a possibility that you're going to obtain that, but in reality, if you don't have skills, you're going to be a laborer for the rest of your life. You need to have certain skills. You need to have skills in engineering. You need to have certain skills in certain aspects of of life, right? You need to have those certain skills. But on that regard, I'm going to finish off this this video with Jesse on fire, and then we're going to get to the bonus stream in just a second, right? So yeah, that's the thing. You got to have something here, otherwise you're going to be exploited, right? This is a country where they only want skilled people, and if you don't have any skills to any degree, well, you're going to be exploited in the labor and market force, and that's kind of where I agree with Fresh Melon Juice on that.
and I don't like it all, because those guys can do the software engineering work in India. Okay, like they can just do that over there. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't allow any of them to come over. We have families that we're friends with who are over on green cards and so on. But like I'm not. It's what they go through is really nuts. Also, it's a really complicated issue. Really, what my point is I think that people who come here and are living a family life, they're going to work, they're taking care of their families, they're not disturbing people, they're just doing their thing. I don't like us targeting them, period. Okay. But if you're talking about
But the problem with that, Jesse, is that they have to, because they have to do something of a blanket, statement, or yeah, something to that extent, right? They have to do it at a technicality so it becomes a blanket movement, right? Rather than just like a targeted effort of getting rid of people that are a menace to society. Okay, so with that in mind, we're going to get to the bonus round right now. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We are at the bonus round. This could go from anywhere from 5 minutes to 50 minutes, depending on the scale of what we're talking about. So, welcome to the bonus round. Let's get right to it, right? So, the first thing I want to talk about in the bonus round, there's a lot of dudes out there that are bodybuilders, guys that just lift all day, guys that ask each other, hey, what is your personal best at bench pressing, which, by the way, is not correlated to any combat sports movement whatsoever, right? In fact, when people ask you how much you bench, it's basically their way of saying, hey, can I beat you up, at least in their little mind? Well, guess what? If you go up against a trained fighter, a trained Muay Thai fighter, a trained jiu-jitsu artist, all these guys that are highly skilled in this particular matter at hand, right? You could probably have a better bench pressing record than they do, but overall in a fight, they're going to demolish you because you don't have the fluidity or the body mechanics or the hours of training in the training room or in the dojo to even do or create devastating things against this person in front of you. That's the reality of that. But there's a lot of guys out there that sort of just get behind the fact that, hey, you know what, they're big guys, they're guys that nobody messes with. They could just stand tall in front of you with putting their hands down and just intimidate you by walking up to you chest to chest. But in reality, you're not gonna you're not going to scare a person that knows how to fight. It's just impossible. And unfortunately, this is the reality of these guys, the reality of people like Liver King. Liver King absolutely has no idea about martial arts or anything like that. He's just a guy that knows how to build his body and make it look like a certain way. But guys, I'm telling you right now, abs and biceps don't win fights, and that's the reality of the situation. Now, let's finish off what Jesse on Fire has to say about this, because I got a life lesson that I think you should understand from this as well.
Haitians in that city over there in Ohio, it's like, dude, they turned the city upside down. And why are there 20,000 of them there with a 60,000 population? Like, that's crazy to me. Like, that's different. That's different. They're unemployed and they're sitting there getting checks from the government. These are not the same thing, right? We were looking at that when he was coming into office. We were looking at these programs where we were getting all these illegal aliens, putting them up in hotels and giving them free money, giving them cards so they can go spend money on while veterans are homeless. Like, what is that about? But why are we going to hotels and finding bellhops that have been there for 6 years who don't have their paperwork in order and then shipping them out? I don't understand.
Yeah, so I want to comment on that a little bit, right? Going back to what Fresh Melon Juice says, this guy basically is saying he wants slaves and it's sick. Okay, so that is true. If you come here and you don't have certain skills, you will be a slave. And at the same time, look, I'm going to be honest with you. Is America really the most moral country in the world? No, it is not. It has its flaws, it has its benefits, it has its greatness, but it also has its downfalls. And that is ultimately what you are signing up for when you come here, right? I often notice somebody who's been around the world, who's been an international kid, who's been around different people from different walks of life and has been in different countries. I often notice how respectful other kids are around the world in comparison to the United States, right? There is no whatsoever. And I think to myself, man, you know what? If you family like they do in Mexico, like they do in the Middle East, and this and that, and then you come here and thinking you're going to get a better life. Guess what? All of a sudden, out of nowhere, your kid starts telling you, well, you know what? Maybe I want to espouse, rainbow qualities, this, that, and the other. And then you're wondering to yourself, how did we get here in this position? Well, you wanted this so bad. You thought that it was a great opportunity. But the moral of this story and what I want to leave out with this is exactly what I'm about to say. Sometimes it's not greener on the other side of the grass, at least not all the time. Okay. So, with that in mind, I'm going to leave it off with the with the two comments from Life with Fighting. He says, listen, man, I am a BJJ blue belt, 6'4", 240 pounds. Wow, man. Life of Fighting is you're a huge guy. I'm 20 years old and a very young man and a young body. I get my butt kicked every day by a 45-year-old, 150-pound brown belt. Okay, that's pretty standard. Smaller guys beat me all the time. Correct. Correct. Right. So and you know what? Listen, here's the thing. Eventually, trust me on this, a life of fighting, eventually you're going to end up beating up these guys when you start learning and when you start getting really used to jiu-jitsu, which you have already. I mean, you've obviously been through the first phase of going from white belt to blue belt. So by the time you advance and you get better and more experience, yeah, you're going to get the best of them, especially at your size, bro. You know what I mean? And especially if you know how to use your size, which is what you're learning to do right now, yeah, you're going to be very unstoppable. But if you never trained in any capacity at all, like the way the Liver King has while he's out here, threatening Joe Rogan, I mean, you got another thing coming, Mr. Liver King. He's going to kick your liver out. Man, how embarrassing would that be? Joe Rogan spinning back kicks the Liver King right in his liver, and then he goes down. King nothing. You know what I mean? Now that right there, is a real no king protest right there. Okay, because you're going to be protesting that kick right through your liver. Um, Fresh Melon Juice says, I have a coral belt. All right. Tekken says, if you have a serious health problems and no money, it must be hell to live in America. It really is. And that's really what it is, man. That's what makes America very difficult to live. But on any regard, thank you for everybody that's tapped in. I want to send a special message to Burko. Thank you for tapping in. Got you on the pinned message. Fresh Melon Juice, tack in. Life of Fighting. Keep on going with your jiu-jitsu journey, because I definitely know what that's like. Marty Miller, always a good supporter of the show. Shout out to you, and thank you for all your loyalty and all your help as my moderator. Zachary, shout out to you. Dixie Time Kevin, shout outs to you. Conor McGregor, the fake Conor McGregor. Alariza, shout out to you. Glad that you are safe back home in Iran and in the capital of Tehran, where everything is good now. Uh, who else? Felix Guzman Martinez, shout outs to you. Yuri, shout out to you, a new subscriber from Ireland. Soups, shout out to you, also a new subscriber to the channel. Uh, who else? Vandros, Prince Vandros. Uh, Omar Tamim, shout outs to you, Omar Tamim, and everybody around the world that's tapped in. Thank you for all your support and your time and effort. And also, uh, thank you for enjoying the content, sharing the content, and letting everyone in the world know that this is the most epic mixed martial arts channel in the history of mankind. And I'm going to leave it off with that. Thank you guys. I will see you in the next one, inshallah.